we have to talk about this story. Jussie Smollett conviction overturned by Illinois Supreme Court. I mentioned this previously in a random show yesterday, and I'll mention it again. One of the things I love, one of the things that I absolutely adore about the USA is basically how it's set up in a way where if you amass a certain level of wealth, if you have certain connections, you're essentially a part of the establishment, no matter what you look like, no matter where you're from. You can essentially traverse up the social hierarchy very quickly in the US if you just become very successful and very rich in a very short space of time, or even a long space of time, and you make the right connections. But I feel like in the UK, it doesn't work that way. In the UK, there are certain doors, there are certain people that you'll just never cross paths with just because of your color of your skin or where you may be from. Doesn't matter how much money you make, how famous you are, successful you get. There's only certain places you can be in and certain rooms you can be a part of and blah 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 blah. So I do kind of like that Jussie Smollett. What the stories that are coming out about him was that his family was very connected. His family, I think it was Chicago. I forgot where the place he's from, but basically they're very connected. And if I'm not mistaken, when he originally got charged anyway, the person who was, or the judge that was overseeing the case, was like a close family friend or something along those kind of lines. So there was always some like fugazi, clicked up industry, Illuminati kind of things going on with Jussie Smollett, even though he was trying to make it seem like he was a victim and he was trying to say that he was being persecuted because of his sexuality, hence why he was attacked in the dead of night outside of a subway by two MAGA supporters in some like office area. I think, because I remember the time when I was watching or following all the drama, allegedly the area where he went to go buy that subway is like an office area, like residential area, new build type of place. So it's not somewhere where people just loiter, because it's either you're there because you work there and you go and pop out for lunch, or you live around the corner and you want to pop out for lunch. But not just random MAGA people are going to be walking around there. So people just immediately knew it was a lie. But regardless, he wanted to be a victim so bad, even though he's part of the establishment. Well, it looks like he got his wish, and something that we didn't expect has happened here. The conviction has been overturned by the Illinois Supreme Court. So now, technically, he can say, even the courts agree that he never did that shit, which, we all know he did lie, and he did set up the attack on himself, but he can probably stand on the fact that now the courts are saying, nah, he didn't do it. Let's scroll down and read the story. Illinois Supreme Court on Thursday overturned Jussie Smollett's hate crime hoax conviction. Today we resolve a question about the state's responsibility to honor the agreements it makes for the defendants, the court wrote. Specifically, we address whether a dismissal by a case by a nolle prosequi allows the state to bring the second prosecution when the dismissal was entered as part of the agreement with the defendant, and the defendant has performed his part of the bargain. We hold that a second prosecution used under these circumstances is a due process violation, and we therefore reverse defendant's conviction. Smollett, who is black and gay, reported to Chicago police that he was a victim of a racist and homophobic attack by two men wearing a ski mask in January 2019. There he is, that iconic face. Charges against Smollett was originally dropped after Special Prosecutor Kim Fox requested a new inquiry. The Empire Star was convicted of 5 felony counts and later sentenced to 150 days in county jail. The Illinois Supreme Court decided Thursday that the Special Prosecution's decision to retry Smollett on charges violated his rights, because I guess he got found innocent the first time around. So, charging him again just because you're upset that he embarrassed you and kind of wasted police resources is probably not the right way to go about things, even though we all know he's lying. It continues. Today we resolve a question about the state's responsibility to honor the agreement. We hold that the second prosecution under these circumstances is due process violation, and we therefore reverse the defendant's conviction. This is not a prosecution based on facts, rather than a vindictive prosecution, and such proceeding has no place in criminal justice system. So fair enough. At least even though he lied about it, because he got found not guilty the first time around, they had to kind of stick with this. I get it. Another of Smollett's attorneys, Nene Uchi, told Fox in a statement, ultimately, we are pleased that the rule of law was a big winner today. We are thankful the Illinois Supreme Court was restoring order to Illinois criminal justice jurisprudence. It's absolutely incredible that the lawyer thinks, you know, Smollett getting off on this is like, you know, now now the Illinois Supreme Court is restoring order to supreme criminal law. Like, come on, brother. There's a mugshot, the iconic mugshot there of Jussie Smollett. Former federal prosecutor Nyama Ramal explained the Illinois Supreme Court decision to overturn Smollett's decision. So it said the following. This is a prosecutor explaining what's going on here. Jussie Smollett is Bill Cosby 2.0. Not because of what he did, but because of what the prosecution did. Kim Fox shockingly agreed to drop the charges against Smollett for staging the hate crime, lying about it, and costing Chicago PD countless hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars. By the way, that's Kim. That's the person that was a family friend, that Kim Fox woman. So again, that goes to show, you know, in the US, if you have money like that, you can get off those kind of things. Whereas in the UK, that's not possible. You know what I mean? No amount of money is gonna take you away from that process, or it's going to limit the repercussions of your actions. It continues. By the time a new special prosecution took over, it was too late because Smollett had already fortified his bail and performed community service. The Illinois Supreme Court held that there was an agreement and Smollett lived up to his end. Oh, okay, I see. The charges were dropped by the time they tried. And again, that's also smart, having smart representation, right? Having the best lawyers. As soon as the judgment came in, you have to do this community service, pay this fine. They told him do it now, right now. And then by the time they attempted to retry him or reconvict him, it was too late because he had already, quote unquote, served his sentence. This is similar to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling on a previous district attorney agreed not to prosecute Cosby. It's a shame because Smollett has never accepted responsibility for the hoax, and now he will never face real justice. And this is an example of another soft on crime prosecutor in our nation's biggest cities. Pretty crazy, isn't it? Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. There's again his face. I think when the charges first got dropped, that's him there. Special Prosecutor Dan Webb, who was appointed the case by Cook County Judge Michael B. Tomun, emphasized that Smollett is not innocent in a lengthy statement. We are disappointed with the Supreme Illinois Court decision today to overturn Jussie Smollett's conviction and sentence, including the award of over $125,000 to the restitution of the city of Chicago for its overtime expenses in the investigation of Smollett's fake hate crime. The special prosecutor told Fox, "We respectfully disagree with the court's factual legal reasoning, which upends the long-standing Illinois precedent. Indeed, the special prosecutor briefed to the Illinois Supreme Court was replete with Illinois case law that would preclude a second new prosecution following the dismissal without prejudice via nolle prosequi. Even the Illinois Supreme Court agreed in its opinion that its holdings today that was not explicit in the earlier Illinois decisions." Make no mistake, today's ruling has nothing to do with Smollett's innocence. The Illinois Supreme Court did not find any error with the overwhelming evidence presented at trial that Mr. Smollett orchestrated a fake hate crime and reported it to the Chicago Police Department as a real hate crime. All the jury's unanimous verdict that Mr. Smollett was guilty of 5 counts of felony disorderly conduct. In fact, Mr. Smollett did not even challenge the sufficiency of the evidence against him in his appeal to the Illinois Supreme Court. The statement continued in part, "Despite today's ruling, the Chicago remains able to pursue its pending civil lawsuit against Smollett in order to recoup the over $120,000 in overtime expenses Chicago Police Department incurred in the investigation the fake hate crime. I want to provide a special thanks to the Deputy Special Prosecutor Sean G. Weiber and Samuel Menendow and the entire team at Winston Strawn who assisted the matter for all of the dedication and efforts over the years. Today's ruling does not change how deeply and proud I am of the work my special prosecutors and office accomplished, nor does it undermine the jury's verdict, but most importantly, it does not clear Jussie Smollett's name. He is not innocent." That's the thing though, isn't it? That's the thing that's kind of wild. Like, he's going to go to his he's going to go to his grave with this lie. Like, I can't see a scenario in the future where he's old and grey when he sits down for a tell-all interview and he just admits everything. I can't see that. I can't see that being a reality at all. I just think he is going to take this lie to his grave, which makes sense, right? sometimes in life we've all lied. I know I have in the past. Sometimes you lie about a family member passing away, you lie about being ill, you lie about just something crazy just to get out of being at work, or just to get out having to go to work, to get out having to go to fucking college or uni or whatever it may be. And some of those things you regret. You regret them, especially stuff like that involves like cheating or something. Like, oh man, I should have never done that. But it's in that moment you kind of have to take it. You kind of have to do it to kind of get away with what you're kind of trying to get away with. But I think in this particular scenario, it's understandable why he did it. Like, some people can understand that. I think I can. I have sympathy for it in a way. His career was kind of at a bit of a crossroads. The George Floyd incident happened. He saw the uproar and the support that a lot of like black people were getting, especially a lot of undeserving black people who were using George Floyd's tragic death as a way to kind of propel themselves further and to kind of, get themselves a leg over and to kind of put themselves in a position that they probably never deserved. And he thought, you know what, I'm actually talented. I'm actually good at what I'm doing. And I think the rumor is that there was rumblings around that time that whatever role he had at Power or Empire, whatever show that he was on, that was at risk. So he was just like scrambling, looking for a way out. And he decided, you know what? Let's do this fucking fake hate crime thing. Let's piggyback off this hate that's going on at the moment and let's make it happen. Unfortunately, he's an actor, unfortunately, he's not some like, Svengali flipping fake hate crime orchestrator. He's an actor, and he made the plan. It was a horrible plan because he hired two of the blackest men you could ever find in the world, those two Nigerian bodybuilder brother guys, to do it for him. One of the guys who he allegedly was, fucking on the side as well, which made it weird. And then he also gave the guys money to buy all the supplies, and they bought it, if I'm not mistaken, not too far from the location of where he got attacked. So they had CCTV footage of like those guys hanging around, those guys buying the rope and the bleach at this one store. Like, it was so stupid. Like, it was the most obvious lie in the world. It was like, bro, you could have been a bit more creative. So maybe in another life, in another timeline, with more help, he would have got away with it and would have been able to ride that fake hate train all the way home. But I think eventually he would have got called out. Eventually some YouTuber would have started nosing around, sniffing around and poking holes at the story, and eventually he would have got fucking exposed as being a liar. So I don't know, man. It's a weird thing to go to a deathbed with. If it was me, or maybe now that the court case is over, he can maybe admit it. Is that possible? I guess you can't get tried 3 times, can you? Original conviction got dropped. They tried to retry him, and now it's been overturned. So I don't think you can get charged 3 times. Or maybe civil lawsuits are going to be the issue. But maybe he might sit down with somebody and have a tell-all interview. I'd love that. Imagine if he went on fucking Joe Biden podcast or something and just spoke from the heart. I think that actually, weirdly enough, he probably won't do it because he's embarrassed, but I think that would be a really good episode. Like, if he sat down on a Joe Budden podcast and just like spoke from the heart and spoke about how he was feeling, commented on whether or not he did it or not, maybe insinuated some things, because he's really a funny guy. I think he's kind of funny guy, very charismatic. Clearly you can see why he became successful as an actor or whatever, and performer, and he just kind of messed it all up because he wanted more than probably what he should have gotten. I think that's something I've also realized over the years. Like, sometimes you get given an opportunity, you get given a shot, it doesn't mean it's going to last forever. Just make the most of it while you can and then kind of keep it stepping. I guess he thought it was going to last forever, and eventually it ended up costing him everything. So I guess he has to keep his head up. I guess he has to keep his head up.